We alluded to Bill Maher. Chris, it's weird. I find myself agreeing with the man more and more. And he's going to get canceled, isn't he? Nope, he just got re-signed. That's right. Apparently, his show is still a hit. And more people in the audience are applauding at the things he has to say. Whereas a year ago, he was, being called all of these names. Well, now he's back in the news, of course, being called a transphobe. And he had a few things to say on that deal. And do we have that clip? Can we play it?
Yes, part of the rise in LGBT numbers is from people feeling free enough to tell it to a pollster, and that's all to the good. But some of it is, it's trendy. Penis equals man? Okay, boomer. Remember, the prime directive of every teen is anything to shock and challenge the squares who brought you up. It's why nobody gets a nose ring at 56. If you attend a small dinner party of typically very liberal, upper-income Angelenos, it is not uncommon to hear parents who each have a trans kid having a conversation about that. What are the odds of that happening in Youngstown, Ohio? If this spike in trans children is all natural, why is it regional? Either Ohio is shaming them or California is creating them.
Now, that's common sense, folks. I mean, you call yourself the party of math and science over there on the left, and you progressive want to argue for this thing. But when you sit there and say that a Gallup poll from February has said that this generation and their trend towards LGBT, persuasion has doubled from the previous generation. So there were 0.8% who identify as LGBT in the, quote, silent generation, 2.6% of the baby boomers, 4.2% of the Gen X, 10.5% of millennials, and 20.8% of Gen Z? Chris, are you Gen Z? What are you? So there's a 10% chance you're gay, right? Is that what we're going with? Yeah, so obviously he hypothesized that some of the massive increase of people identifying as LGBTQ could be because it's trendy to be considered as such. Again, the pushback that I got over the weekend over making such a statement that people are abusing their children. And in essence, when you consider the fact, like the medical scientific fact, that 94% of the population are considered straight in their sexuality. So 7%, at the highest point of LGBTQ ratings, 7% of the global population being LGBTQ. And then you want to get into this trans phenomena where suddenly everybody's identifying as a gender that they weren't born with. You have to admit, he makes a great point. Why is it regional? Why is this happening in California? Why is it happening in L.A.? Why is it not happening in, places like Cincinnati? Because it's an agenda, folks. It's an agenda. And so there were a lot of people who came to me and said, oh, my 28-year-old son, is transgender. We're not talking about your 28-year-old son. That's not who we're discussing here. We're talking about your 8-year-old. We're talking about, the James Youngers of the world, our friend Jeff Younger, who's been on the show a couple of times, whose ex-wife started the gender reassignment process at the age of 3 on their son James. This is what we're talking about. And when they get it to a point where they want to give them the puberty blockers and these irreversible things that can be done to their bodies physically, they know that by the time they hit adolescence, it's the point of no return.